There are calls tonight to establish a royal commission to identify military officers who allegedly perpetrated a series of rapes in the 1990s and may still be serving in senior posts. The call comes from the DLA Piper report into sexual abuse in the military, released today. And while it detailed more horrific cases of rape and paedophilia in the military, stretching over decades, it stopped short of recommending any royal commission look into the military culture that allowed abuse to occur for so long. Political correspondent Tom Eagledon has more from Canberra.
The webcam had been set up.
Last year's Skype sex scandal at the Australian Defence Force Academy triggered the DLA Piper review. Now it's found those allegations aren't isolated, detailing a recent incident of sexual assault at ADFA with other cadets looking through the window and other incidents of filming consensual sex and taking photographs. The problems at ADFA come after decades of serious sexual misconduct stretching back to the 1950s and described in detail in the report.
They do raise very serious allegations, and they do raise matters which are deeply sensitive, and they will shock some people.
Shocking barely covers the story of the 13-year-old boy recruited to the Navy in the 1950s who told the report of being gang raped in the mess hall by older cadets. I was held down by 3 or 4 cadets, there may have been more, and they were chanting. I was held, bent over forwards, and a wooden Indian club covered in honey was rammed up my bum. A 15-year-old recruited in the 1970s told a similar tale, including having a broom handle inserted in his anus on a number of occasions and being forced to drink other recruits' semen. And a female RAAF recruit from the 1980s told of how Swarfigger, heavy-duty cleaner, was put down my pants. I had to share the male toilets, which were covered with graffiti in which I was named. Throughout the decades covered in the review, young men were given regimental showers which comprised being scrubbed with a wire brush and often thereafter nuggeted, which involved having boot polish rubbed on their genitals and anus. And the report says that despite decades of official reports into military culture, Defence is yet to clean up its act. The review has received a sufficient number of complaints referring to conduct in more recent times to make it apparent that it is not a phenomenon that can be regarded as just historical. With every shocking new revelation, the government comes under increasing pressure to say how it's going to change the culture and right the wrongs of the past.
An apology to people who've been adversely affected by abuse, relying upon existing processes or procedures, including criminal processes and procedures, the introduction of a capped compensation scheme, but also further legal or judicial inquiry, including a royal commission.
DLA Piper says a royal commission would be too unwieldy and expensive for all 700 allegations of sexual abuse contained in its report, but it does say one could be an option for 24 rapes committed in around 1998, which weren't properly investigated, and where the perpetrators and witnesses could still be serving in the military. It's a potential can of worms the government needs to decide whether or not it wants to open.
There has to be, in the modern day, a zero tolerance to bad behaviour and a zero tolerance to turning a blind eye when complaints are made by members of the Australian Defence Force.
Today's revelations are merely the first stage of the report. More detailed recommendations are to follow in a second chapter yet to be released. Tom Eagledon, Lateline.